Okay, go.
Okay. I see in your bio, your mother received the call, who was also the sister-in-law of Chaplain Kapaun, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Has she revealed yet what the president said to her over that phone call?
Yes, she finally did. The one main thing that she was told was that, of course, that he was going to be getting the Congressional Medal of Honor, and how honored that the Washington was to be able to finally award that medal. The one sticking point for her was that she was not to tell anybody. They were supposed to keep this quiet until it was officially announced. Well, Mom takes everything literally, and she would not even tell us kids. I mean, fortunately, my sister happened to be there when she got the call, so she secretly told us, and we all had to keep quiet, but she definitely held true to her promise, without a doubt.
Now that the word's out, how does the family feel?
It's actually hard to describe at this point. I mean, it's such an extreme honor for us to be able to finally have the world to see what Father Emil did, to see what an exceptional man he was, what an exceptional priest he was, and what an extraordinary soldier that he was, for the world to finally see how this person led by his unselfish acts, by his always being to lead by example. Everything he did was by example. He never thought of himself. He would march into a battlefield to save someone out on a battlefield with no concern about himself, with no regard about himself. He was very much a person who would have any problem that would come up was easy for him to solve. I mean, he never thought of a difficult way to solve a problem. I mean, a great example of that would be when his mom and dad had to go into Marion, which was about 10 miles away, and they left him in charge of taking care of the farm. And part of that taking charge was they had this one cow that had to be milked every day, and that was Mom's problem. She always took care of the cow. But Emil was bound determined. He was going to do the chores. He was going to get it done. And he goes out there, and of course, the cow is fidgety, and it won't let him get close. And he walks out of the barn trying to figure out what he's going to do. And he's like, I got an idea. He goes back into the house, opens up his mom's closet, pulls out the old dress that she would always wear to go out and do the chores, walks out and finds her old bonnet, gets it, and ties the bonnet on his head, and does the waddle out to the barn. And the cow stands as perfectly still, and he just figured, okay, I'm being taken care of. And that's how he solved problems. That's how he did things, and that's how he led his life as an example.
Is Emil a family name, or were you named after him? Was that put into your name?
Yes, actually, my middle name is Emil. I was actually the youngest of 3 boys, which for me, that is such a great honor to have his name, and now to be the one to be awarded the medal in Emil's name is an honor that I can't even describe at this point.
How does the community feel where you're from? Because you grew up in Pilsen, Kansas.
Actually, we grew up in Colwich, Kansas, which was about 90 miles from Pilsen. But we would always go back to Pilsen. I mean, it was always, we always went back there. We'd go several times a month, and we'd spend the day on Sunday. And the town of Pilsen is a great community. They are, it's a small town. It's a very small town, kind of, almost say in the middle of nowhere, but it's got this huge St. John Nepomucene's church, and it's the focal point of the community. And it's really part of this community, the reason that Father Emil never got forgotten. I mean, they have a Father Emil Day, the first Sunday of June, and the church is packed. I mean, it's packed where people are standing outside. And I mean, it's just incredible what the love of what these people have. I mean, it was, for us, it was kind of, us kids would always come in for Father Emil Day, but we always went with Mom and Dad, and Mom and Dad would show up, and everybody flocked around Mom and Dad, and us kids were, we were always off kind of to the side. And then when it finally got to where Mom and Dad couldn't go any longer, and it kind of fell on us kids, we were all kind of worried, like, okay, we're going to show up, and these people aren't even going to know who we are. But it was absolutely different. I mean, we were just embraced, and it's just an incredible, incredible town, and their support for Father Emil is just amazing. I would say that their support is no less than what the POWs who were with him in the prison camps. I mean, if it was not for those POWs, this story wouldn't have been told. Nobody would have known what Father Emil did and how much these guys love him and for what he did for them.
Now, you never met your uncle because he was killed before you were able to meet him, correct?
Yeah, that is correct.
So how was your family I can tell through your stories and the way you talked, your family kept his legacy alive. You plan on doing that as well as future generations in your family go?
Exactly right. I think, people talk about, I've been asked more than once of, the timing of this and how come it took so long. And my feeling is that the timing is and how it needs to be right now. I mean, there's been so much interest in what Father Emil did and how he led his life, and there's been so many more people that know who Father Emil is through the stories, through what he's done, through the POWs constantly telling the stories. For me personally, I don't want to let it die, and I know it's not going to die. There's too many people involved in it now, and it's such a great honor for me to be able to see these POWs out in the crowd tomorrow. For them to finally see what they've talked about for all these years, for finally them to see that the story that they told and everything that they told is finally going to come true for them. It's going to be an indescribable honor for me.
When you get the Medal of Honor, where's it going to go?
I made a promise to my dad several years ago, and it's a promise I'm going to keep. He always believed that the medal needed to go back to the hometown. It needed to go back out to Pilsen, and that's where the medal will always be on display, will be where it needs to be. The last thing we wanted to do was to put it into a safety deposit box where nobody ever was going to see it again. And the town of Pilsen deserves to have that medal, and it deserves to be shown for the town of Pilsen, because their support will never die. It'll always be there.
My final question, sir. How does your family feel about his possibility of going on to statehood as also a martyr?
There again, that's a question that's awfully hard to describe when you're a family member. It's extraordinary for everything that he's done. But I look at that, and it more comes back to what he's done and what his life was and how he led his life and how he showed others to live just by the example of what he did. How he showed others to keep pushing, to keep always having the faith, to always say there's a better tomorrow. You're in a camp that, if you even survive, you're going to be lucky, but to always have them believe that there's a better tomorrow, there's a better day than what today was. And tomorrow is going to be that better day. Tomorrow is going to be all these people get to see that better day.
Anything else you'd like to add, sir, about your uncle, your uncle receiving the honor?
Just that he's a great person, and just for me, it's such an honor to have his name, and just to be able to stand there and know that he's going to be there with his hand on my shoulder to get through this, and it's the most incredible moment that I can probably ever describe.
Have you felt him around you lately?
Oh, yeah. I've felt him around him an awful lot. And it's just that a lot of the humbleness of what he is. I think it would be easy for this moment to become a head brush by any means, but just the humbleness. And by what the people that he was around and how he affected them. You talk to the POWs. I mean, these guys went through horrible things and unimaginable things in that prison camp, and for these guys to keep coming out and to always keep talking and to come out and live the lives that they've had after all that they went through is just incredible for what the belief they had in Father Emil and the belief that they still have. So this today and tomorrow is all for Father Emil.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Okay.